What was that driving force between wanting to solve problems while helping people?
All right. For me, it was more of an optimization question. I'm a very analytical and logical person. And when I look at my skills, right, I'm thinking about what are the things I really like to enjoy? What are the things that I do well? And how could I impact the most amount of people in the shortest amount of time? So if I think about my legacy, that's just from an optimization standpoint, that makes the most sense. And when I learned about entrepreneurship, I was like, I know it's hard, but these are all things that I'm really good at. I like talking to people. I like building teams. I'm curious. I have a lot of problem solving abilities. And that's something that I think that I could help build and kind of be a part of it, building the cities of the future. So that's kind of how I got into entrepreneurship, because I realized that that's how I can help the most people with my given skills. And I think there was a book that I read that talked about what is the key to happiness, right? Like, how do you become happy? And I think something that really resonated to me was that to be happy, you need to be in a community and add value to that community.
Mm-hmm.
Those two things, you will be happy. And so I just took that as, well, let's say the world is my community, right? How do I add value to the world? And that's kind of how I've been taking my perspective of what is entrepreneurship and how do I build my community?
Irewole, what difference do you hope to make through your entrepreneurship endeavors?
So personally, I guess I'm going to come from like a little bit of a personal place, right? So I am African, right? And for years in my life, I have just sort of watched, being an African, being looked at as being behind on the time, being looked at as, being not there yet, right? I think the true impact I really want to make in the world is to be able to mentor and invest in the next generation of African talents, right? Mm-hmm. So these are people that are building like technological solutions for Africans and by Africans, right? That's the impact I want to make, because I think it's the only way we can truly lift our communities out of the socioeconomic state that they are in right now. And that's sort of where it is personal for me. So my entire life, I'd always looked at, okay, everyone talks about doing a job. That's all we've been taught to think about, right? And I always just ask the question, so who then does the things that are not their job, right? So you have people that people don't sweep the streets. Mm-hmm. I'm like, why won't the streets be swept? They're like, oh, that's not my job. People don't want to take the trash out, right? So I grew up in a place where everyone was so focused on doing their job, no one was trying to make any difference in community, right? Because that's the mindset that we've sort of been set up in. I really want to change that mindset to become like, what are the problems that we have? How can we tackle it with the resources that we have? Human resources, natural resources. And when we solve those problems, how can we uplift our community as a whole, right? To be able to partake in like the blessings that, other countries, other nations, other continents have been afforded, but we've just not had the opportunity to just key into yet. And I think that's sort of the impact I want to make.